Welcome to Gamin' Grains, the whiskey gaming channel. I'm your player one, Richard, and today we're going to see if Jack and Coke from a can is better than if you can make it yourself. So grab those controllers, pour yourself a dram, and let's get into it. A Jack and Coke is a very simple cocktail. It is 1 part Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 Tennessee whiskey to 2 parts Coca Cola. For today's video, we'll be using 2 ounces of Jack for every 4 ounces of Coke. Although this cocktail has been around for quite some time, Jack Daniel's didn't officially release their ready-to-drink version until 2023. Since then, they've expanded their flavor lineup to include Cherry Coke, Vanilla Coke, and Coke Zero. Now, I've enjoyed a Jack and Coke every once in a while, and for those of you that have never had one, the flavor is very reminiscent to me of something that many people here in the South do, and that is to add peanuts to a Coca-Cola. There's something about that light, nutty flavor that pairs well with the sweetness from Coca-Cola. We're going to make this cocktail several different ways. All of them are going to include Coca-Cola. However, we're going to change up the Jack Daniel's as we go through each one of them. At the end, we're going to compare it to our Jack and Coke in a can. So the first one that we're going to start off with is going to be our traditional Jack and Coke. Now, if you remember, it is 1 part Jack Daniel's to 2 parts Coca-Cola. Now, I like to be precise, so I have myself my handy dandy little measuring tool. And so we're going to go ahead. Most of the things that I've read say that you pour the Coke first before you add the Jack Daniel's. So we're going to go ahead and add in our 2 pours or 2 parts Coca-Cola. Don't really have a lot of highball glasses to use, so we're going to make do with what I got. So there's our 2 parts Coca-Cola, and then we're going to add our 1 part Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 Tennessee whiskey. So I got my 4 ounces of Coke in there. This will be our 2 ounces of Jack. Hopefully this will all fit in this glass. Oh boy. Just made it. All right, we're going to set this off to the side. My mouth is already salivating just thinking about this. Before we take a sip, one of the things that just popped into my head was my good buddy Whiskey Shaman always talks about how when you drink whiskey, it's about the story. And so this actually reminded me of the last time I had a Jack and Coke, which was at the Orpheum. My wife and I went to go see a play, and we don't do it often, but we decided that we were going to treat ourselves to some nicer drinks other than just the sodas, and so I happen to have a Jack and Coke. So I'm just instantly teleported to that scene, getting ready to walk to our seats to watch whatever the show happened to be. So, all right, Jack and Coke, traditional Tennessee whiskey, Jack Daniel's Old No. 7. Man, that's good. So as I'm letting this kind of linger, I am getting some of that peanutty or just nutty flavor that you would traditionally get with your Jack Daniel's No. 7. Something that maybe was never aware of before, but I almost got like banana on the front end, which was I feel like I've heard people, or maybe even myself, we've talked about like banana bread coming from it, but I don't think I've ever paid attention to it whenever I've had a traditional Jack and Coke. So I'm going to get one more sip before we move in on to the next one. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. So with it being a 2-to-1 ratio, you are getting a little bit of the sweetness, but the Jack Daniel's is a little bit overpowering. If I were to stir it around, perhaps more of the sweetness from the Coke would come through. But right now, I'm getting a lot of that Jack Daniel's. So We're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. So I'm going to push this off to the side, get my next rocks glass ready. Be right back. All right, so we're going to move on to something a little bit classier, and that is going to be Jack Daniel's Gentleman Jack. So I will be honest with you, I have never used this before or sampled it. It does look like it's about the same coloration as Jack Daniel's. It says it's double mellowed, so this will be interesting to try. I went ahead and got my first part of my Coca Cola ready to go in here. I may have to use another can. I use the smaller ones just because I have 2 teenagers who like to drink soda like water. Well, maybe it means I used a little less than I should have in the last glass. That's all right. Go ahead and top that off right there. Put this guy off to the side. All right, so we got our 2 parts of our Coca-Cola. We're going to add in our Gentleman Jack and see if perhaps there's any difference. All right, Gentleman Jack going in. All right, we're going to set this guy right over here. So in comparison, just on the nose, again, I don't really nose my cocktails, but for this purpose, it smells very faint, like a lighter version of our Jack Daniel's Old No. 7. So maybe that has something to do with the double mellowing process. Again, I've never had Gentleman Jack, so I really can't speak to that. So we're going to go ahead and get in on the taste, see how it compares to the last one. Okay, so a lot of those notes are still present. That nuttiness and banana flavors that I described with this one, but they're very light. They are not as prominent or forward as what I got from the Old No. 7. So we'll still go ahead. One more taste. Okay, so again, it does taste very light in comparison to the Old No. 7. As far as proof points go, they both are at 80 proof. So not really a large difference, at least in flavor, that I am picking up on between the two. Coke flavor comparison to this one is still very subtle. I'm not getting a lot of sweetness that I would typically get out of a regular Coca-Cola. So, all right. So far, both are really good. Not very sweet. You're getting the banana and the nutty flavor from them both that you would traditionally get with a Tennessee whiskey. So we're going to go ahead and get ready for the next one. So I'll see you there. All right. Now we are ready for the next one. Now, I'm excited about this, but I'm not quite sure how this is going to turn out. I happen to have Jack Daniel's Store Pick Single Barrel Rye. Now, this is supposed to be from Coy Hill Rickhouse. The gentleman at the store was telling me Coy Hill. Some people in the Discord that I'm a part of were telling me that's not the same. I'm going to pretend that it's Coy Hill because I've never actually had Coy Hill. And if you have samples you want to send me, let me know. Hit me in the comments. I'll give you my contact information. But anyway, I digress. So we're going to go ahead and do our 2 parts Coca-Cola. Just in case any of you who are watching are concerned about the quantity of alcohol that I am consuming, I do have my wife in the other room that likes to enjoy Jack and Cokes as well. So she will be helping me work through these later on this evening. So here is our 2 parts of our soda. Go ahead and move this out of the way, and we're going to do our 1 part rye. Now, one thing that I was reading up on when I was getting ready to prepare for this video is that a lot of people will traditionally put a lime, wedge, or a cherry for garnish, but supposedly the lime juice, if you were to squeeze it into your cocktail, really helps to round out the overall flavor. I don't happen to have any limes with me, so we're just going to make do with what we got. All right, so this is a single barrel rye whiskey, supposedly from Coy Hill. I'm going to pretend that it is. Now, the proof point is a huge difference from these two guys over here. This has a proof point of 137.1, so almost a hazmat. Really, really great flavor. You can see that I haven't taken a lot out of this bottle because this sold out of my local liquor store very, very fast. So we're going to go ahead and get on the nose real quick. Again, very light in flavor. Still, that banana note seems to be present. So we're going to go and get it on the taste and see how it compares to these other two guys. So that rye spice that you would typically get with a rye is present. I do feel like it's slightly sweeter. You do get some of those notes that, again, you would traditionally get from that mellowing process that Jack Daniel's does. So you are the nuttiness is there, almost like a pecan rather than a peanut. And then you are also getting some of that banana that you would find typically in a Jack Daniel's. Now, out of the two, this one leaves a little bit of like a bitter note on the finish that kind of lingers a little bit. But as far as initial flavor goes, I prefer this one over these. So, but they're all drinking good. This one actually, for whatever reason, seems to be a little bit sweeter than the other two. Let me get another good sip real quick. This is a lot more complex than these two. Again, these is just you get that real quick hit of banana, goes right into the nuttiness, and then just kind of mellows out. Not a lot of sweetness from the Coke. This one right here, it's almost like you're getting hit with a little bit of spice, then it leads into the banana, the nut, and then into the Coca Cola. All right, I got one more left. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking maybe it's one of the Jack 10s or 12s or 14s. I have a 10, I have a 12, I don't have a 14. Again, any of you friends out there that happen to have one and you want to send me a sample, hit me up in the comments. I do have an email address set up for our channel. It is gameandgrains25@gmail.com. So if you want to reach out that way, you're more than welcome to. I also check my social media, Instagram, Facebook. All those are ones that I check. So I'm sorry, I said Facebook, not Facebook, just Instagram. Anyway, you can hit me up there and then we can talk and maybe see if we can work something out. So, all right, last one. And then we're going to open up the Coke and see how it compares. I'm sorry, the can, see how it compares to the rest. So, see you in just a second. All right, I got a little excited with this last one and went ahead and already poured the soda into the cup. That's all right. So, I have with me the 2020-2025 Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Heritage Release. Now, I was not a big fan of this guy, and I got poo-pooed on by some viewers. A lot of people were saying that this is probably one of the top whiskeys of the year. I thought it was okay. Last time I had this, I was still getting a lot of that char notes to it. I know that people say you're supposed to get like marshmallow and all these other things. Those weren't flavors that I was picking up. Again, I still am relatively new to the whiskey game, and so perhaps as I start to develop my palate more and am able to pick out those notes, this might be something that I will come to enjoy a little bit more. But I happen to have this bottle. It's just been sitting on my liquor cabinet, so I'm going to go ahead and use this one for our last Jack and Coke. Again, I went ahead and already poured in the soda. I got 4 ounces in there, and we're going to go ahead and do 2 ounces of this 2025 Heritage Barrel Jack Daniel's. All right, look at that, look at that, look at that. Now this guy is much darker than some of the other ones. Go ahead and move that guy right there. Move that right there. All right. It's on par with the rye. The rye actually looks a little bit darker. Now, like I said, this is 137.1 proof, and the Heritage is at 100 proof. So we'll go ahead and get on the nose. So this is a toasted barrel, so I'm expecting a lot of char or smoky notes. It's very faint, again, but it's diluted with 2 parts of the Coke. So we're going to go and get in on the flavor. Oh, okay. All right. So still getting some of that smoky notes from it, but this actually helps me kind of get some of those notes that what everybody else was talking about with this particular bottle. So I do get some of that like light marshmallowy flavor right here in the center of my palate. It almost tastes like if you were to char a marshmallow over a fire, like you're making a s'more, maybe the outer part that burns. And I definitely think that that works well because of the sweetness from the soda. Honestly, out of all of these, this might be my favorite. When my wife and I are usually around Christmas time, we tend to start making more cocktails. We like to use, there's marshmallow vodka, there's vanilla vodka, whipped cream vodka. Goes great with some other of your holiday drinks, maybe like a hot chocolate, an adult hot chocolate, or some apple cider. So enough talking. We're going to get back in on this. Okay, so that char is still there. It is still very present, but again, it kind of lingers. But once it starts to dissipate, you start to get that marshmallowy flavor from this guy. So we got one more. We need to compare all of these to the canned version of the Jack Daniel's. So I'm going to go ahead and move this guy over here. And we are going to get our can. And we're going to see how this guy stacks up to the rest. So I don't have any more glasses. I ran out. This is all I got. So we're just going to drink out of the can because you know what? It don't matter. All right. Cheers. Okay. So first off, this is 7% alcohol by volume. So far less than any of these guys that are here on the table. The initial thoughts. This is very Coke heavy, not Coke like cocaine, but Coca Cola, with the notes of Jack Daniel's being present second. So it's almost like Coca Cola is going to be your primary, your initial flavor, followed by that peanutty, nutty flavor that you would traditionally get with your Jack Daniel's Old Number 7. Excuse me. Definitely sweeter than any of these other 4 that are on here. Obviously, I think because it is in a can, they can't sell things above a certain percentage. But we're going to go ahead and get in on the taste one more time. Okay, this almost reminds me of like, this sounds really weird, but a peanut butter sandwich with some sort of jelly to actually maybe like a drizzle of honey, like a lightly flavored honey or some sort of jam or jelly, but definitely a peanut butter sandwich. So where does this guy fall in comparison to the rest? I'm going to say that this one is probably my number 1. So we're going to move these accordingly. I definitely enjoy that marshmallowy flavor that comes through because the Coke has been added to this particular bottle. Next is going to have to be this guy, the rye. I enjoy the complexity of it. I enjoy the different flavors compared to the traditional Jack Daniels that you would have. All right, now here comes the sad thing. I tend to lean more towards sweet, and what these two left me wanting was sweet. So this really hit that need or that niche, that just desire of sweetness. If it was a different day, maybe these guys would probably be in front of this one. But there's something about that Coca Cola and the Jack Daniels balance that was between these two. Now, fourth place is going to have to be the classic Jack Daniels and Old Number 7. Here, let's make this where you can actually see them. And then lastly, the Gentleman Jack. Something about that just mellowing process really, I don't want to say it was off-putting, but it just wasn't enjoyable. If you drink this every day, I definitely could see why, because it is such a light drink. It's a low proof. It's probably an easy drinker. There is no burn. This would probably be great for many people, especially entry-level people to whiskey, or somebody that just wants something quick. But as far as it going in a Jack and Coke, this didn't scratch the itch that I wanted. So this is my order. I don't feel like I would be doing a service if I put this guy in front of here. So hang on one second. We're going to try this one more time. Okay. All right. This is more nostalgic for me, whereas this one just kind of scratches an itch. So I'm going to move it. I'm going to move it because just like my buddy the Whiskey Shaman says, it's all about the story. This reminds me of happy times. This makes me think about hanging out with my wife. This makes me think about sitting out by the pool and hanging out with the family. This one just scratches an itch, you know. So all in all, I think if you're looking for something quick to grab, maybe you're going tailgating or something like that, this is probably something that you would grab. It is comparable to this. If you're okay with something being sweeter, then I definitely think that you would be okay with this particular thing. All right. Now, before we let you go, I happen to start a new mini series called Whiskey Adjacent. Okay, it's where we take a look at whiskey that is flavored, pre-made cocktails, homemade cocktails, and more. I will be doing a video in the coming weeks where we take a look at Jack Daniels, Jack and Cokes, but the flavored ones. So I happen to have the cherry and the vanilla in addition to these, and we're just going to do a little side by side and see which one is the best. So, all right. Thank you for sticking with me till the end. Please make sure that you like this video. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe. Down in the comments below, have you ever had a Jack and Coke? Do you make your own Jack and Coke? And maybe what kind of twist do you put on it? Okay, I said that, traditionally bars and restaurants add a little hint of lime or cherry. Maybe you do something else. I actually made a Jack and Coke slushy this past summer. It was really, really good. Highly recommend if you can get one of those neat little Ninja slushy machines. Definitely recommend. All right, guys. Thank you for sticking to the end. I'm your player one, Richard. Have a good one.